Yo, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Good to see you again, and we got a matchup against my man A Milla here. He's playing the Rob Lucci leader. I've got the 3D2Y Luffy that started at 14. I've been enjoying the heck out of this deck, and honest to God, it has just been so fun playing up against a lot of matchups. I will say, in particular, though, this matchup does not feel great. Lucci is just one of those decks that when they high roll, it is a miserable experience. But we had such an incredible match. This was pretty wild, honest to God. So I was very happy with how this turned out, and I was kind of excited to upload this. He does miss the Spandam search, but he does get some pretty useful targets into the trash right there. Unfortunately for us, I just don't have much of anything to start the game. I don't have brand new. I don't have Brook. I would have liked to get those cards down, especially with the Ice Age in hand. But he is going to swing 5 here. I'm super fine taking some of the early life and getting down to, you know, kind of a particular spot that just feels right for this. Unfortunately, though, the Rebecca is going to pick back up the Brook here. I know that I just drew into a Borsalino, so I do have an option of playing Kuzan or Borsalino, but I figured, hey, you know what? I'm okay with Kuzan going to the trash. It's useful for me if I do draw into the Gecko Moria. If it stays on the board for some ungodly reason, that's pretty good too. But he is going to swing 5 here and play down the Brook, so he lowers my Kuzan to a 4 cost. Just having that Dawn attached is always really nice for this matchup, and you know, it kind of makes his decision making just a little more difficult, which I do enjoy. I'm just gonna go ahead though and tap Jack. I want to get some more cards into trash. I'm trying to decide which one I do want in there though, because I know for sure that I'll be playing Moria or Isho the following turn, but I'm just not entirely sure, you know, what card I want to play out of my trash with the Moria play. So I give myself a couple options, just setting myself up for the following turn. I don't have the 6k lead just yet because we are on the odd curve, but a little 5k swing lowering down Jack here. I want to have Jack for the rest of the game if possible, but I'll go ahead and counter out with Suru because Suru does give me, you know, a little bit of options. I like to think that I don't exactly need Brook every single time with the Suru. It's just having Jack on board that is reliable, and having, you know, Suru as an option from Moria. But I'm also going to counter out with T-Bone. Just want to have that in the hand for, you know, getting it back with Rebecca if we do draw into that. But Isho absolutely wrecks my world here. Takes care of my Moria as well as my Sabo. 2 really important cards there for me. Lucky for us though, we didn't lose the Ice Age, so I still have Ice Age, I still have Nico Robin, so I have ways to deal with this Isho. I also don't really need to use Ice Age. I can just play down the Nico Robin and just feel pretty good about that. But Isho's 100% a problem. I want to play an Isho of my own, but I just know that my board is going to get 100% removed if I do go that route. So I'm just going to go ahead and swing 8 to Brook. This should be a pretty easy block for him. You know, get the Rebecca into trash, sets it up for the Moria play as well. But Nico Robin lowers down Isho to a 3 cost, and now Jack is going to get his revenge. I pick up another Rebecca. I think I'm just going to probably ditch one of the Rebeccas, truth be told, but I actually decided to just go with Isho here. I think this might have been one of the unfortunate mistakes of the game for me, was Isho... I was a little worried about like the multi-swing that my opponent's going to have here to my life, so I figured I would keep a little counter power. Like, I'm fine with going down to 2 life, but I'm not exactly trying to go to 1 that quickly. Lucky for us, he hasn't, you know, played down a Moria yet, but that's very possible this turn. So the Isho The Isho and the 2 cards from hand that previous play were pretty rough. I'm now going to be looking at such a smaller hand size than my opponent. It definitely doesn't help whatsoever. I decided to take the first 6k though, and he's going to go another 6, lowering down Nico. So I get the counter out, but now Nico's a 6. So this is really easy for him to get within range of being able to, you know, remove the card. He could use Tempest Kicked, he could use Ice Age. Just getting rid of this card is like kind of annoying for me. It's an extremely important card for me in this matchup right now. And it looks as though that is what he's going to do. He's going to use the Ice Age, play down the Moria, and I'm like, oh man, my worst fears have come to fruition right now. Uses the Spandam, uses the Spandam surprisingly enough just to pick up a card, and that way he gets Spandine out of the trash, plays down the Lucci. Lucci's going to KO Robin, and now I'm looking at his board like, oh god, this sucks. This is rough. Luckily for us though, we didn't lose Ice Age from the Isho. I know that I'm going to need that card to deal with Moria. I know that I'm also going to have to, you know, probably play a little defensively this turn. So Ice Age, potentially a Rebecca play as well. It's looking more and more likely that that's going to be my idea here. I just don't have that second swing, which is really annoying. Like, I want to have a second swing to pressure his hand size, start attacking into Lucci, Brook, anything realistically, and just not having that is super tragic right here. I know that Moria is going to be gone for the 1, so tapping Jack. I do end up pulling another Jack, which is actually quite solid. Like, not bad at all. And I'm just considering what card I'm getting rid of now. So I end up deciding to get rid of a 2k. But Rebecca, I can't do Rebecca into Sabo because I have 2 Dawn already kind of dedicated. I'm just getting 2ks out of the hand now with these 7k pokes. I'm deciding whether like the Suru Jack play is better, or if I should just be going like Rebecca into either like Kuzan or Borsellino or something of the sorts. And I think I do decide to just go that route, is I go with the Rebecca, pick back up Kuzan, play down Kuzan, get a little card draw. And I mean, lucky for us, we've been able to draw consistently into, you know, quite a bit of counter power, but I still don't love the position. I mean, we got to deal with, you know, potentially another Moria here, multiple 6k swings, so my hand size is just going to dwindle over and over again. I end up giving him the T-Bone, which I don't hate, but at the same time, I think that, like, let's assume he doesn't have removal to my Kuzan. T-Bone might have been really important for us in the next turn, so I don't know. I think getting rid of a Suru there was probably the better idea. I don't really need like double Suru for any sort of high-end reduction that reduction of any high-end cards that my opponent's going to be playing. He does hit me with a Tempest Kick though. Tempest Kick's going to lower down Kuzan. So now it's within range of Brook. It's within range of you know, obviously like a Moria Lucci play. He still has 9 Dawn to work with as well, so I know that I can probably block this pretty freely, because if he attaches one to Lucci, then I know that it's more than likely just a Moria. But I decided to take the hit, go down to 1. Yeah, I'm trying to stay as healthy on hand size. Like I'm slowly getting to the point where I can finally like not feel as though I'm just completely losing the game on hand size alone. But he does play out the Brook over the Lucci here. I'm actually, honest to God, kind of okay with this. I really needed my opponent to kind of give me a break on the pressure, and this gives me like an easier swing into a target, so I can now just go 7, but I'm deciding whether I want to go Brook or Brook essentially. But I decided to go to the 6 cost yet again. Just want 2k counters out of his hand. We're slowly but surely getting his hand size down, which is fantastic. I get pretty lucky here and cycle into a Moria. I wouldn't say that I 100% needed it, but it definitely helps because we did have the Rebecca option. But I'm just going to play out Rebecca. But sadly for us, I don't have brand new. just not having brand new here is really, really annoying. But I know that it could be, you know, extremely important for us to have an extra swing towards the end of this game. So I just play down a body, just playing down Suru. I know that I have plenty in hand that I can put into the trash if I really need it. So I just want to have that extra swing potentially to go for game at the end of this game. I mean, that's what it's boiling down to. Is I have this Moria. My opponent has played 2 Morias on me and an Isho. We're trying to crawl our way back into this. And yeah, I mean, having the resourcefulness of Rebecca in these matchups is like, it's so necessary. And I'm just going to counter out of this 6k swing though. I don't know exactly where he put the -1. It might have been to the Rebecca. I don't think I notated it with any dice, but he's going to go 8k here. This is a pretty free block. I am thinking of that Moria swing. Moria swing is a little scary. We're going to see an 11k, and this is going to life. I do take it. Picking up the Sabo, though. Sabo is just fantastic for us here. Can't really complain. You know, being at 0 life, it's not the most comfortable spot to be in, but I still think that we're fine. I just have to do a little bit of removal. So I am going to swing 8 into the Brook. I get a little bit of, you know, the cards out of his hand, but I also get rid of some of the blockers, which were really annoying. I know that I can probably survive with how many 2k counters we've had throughout this game. And now I can just hit him with a Rebecca Sabo. I'm looking at this Ice Age, and this Ice Age is really tempting to keep because I know that the following turn, if he can't play Sabo again, I can get rid of one of his blockers and potentially start to pressure for game. We have plenty of counter, but we're not out of the ropes. It's a little bit of a dicey situation. I'm hanging on to those Rebeccas as much as possible for this exact situation. You know, so that at the end of the game, whenever my opponent is trying to swing for maximum value of cards out of my hand, I'm just going to hit him with a free block and call it a day. If he hits me with a 6 right here, it's a pretty easy counter. But I'm waiting for that Moria swing before I decide to use Rebecca. He's definitely thinking about like, okay, you know what? This is not the best spot for me to, you know, for me to be in if I don't have, you know, a way to block her up again, or even another Moria. I mean, if he has another Moria, we might cry, because 3 in a match is pretty brutal. It is pretty brutal. So getting to play, I mean, we might see like a 6k with lead, or even a 7k into another Moria, or it might be a 6k with lead Rebecca Sabo himself. That obviously is really annoying for us because it just gives him multiple blocks to keep his own Moria on the board. I haven't been able to chip at life at all because we just haven't had that secondary swing this whole game. But he does use the Ice Age onto Jack. Thought this was a little interesting, and he brings it down to a 7 cost and uses Kaido to get rid of it. Now I'm really sweating. I'm like, oh no, I literally just lost you know, my one piece that I needed, no pun intended, to be able to deal with, you know, my opponent playing these big cards onto the board. But Kaido just absolutely rips the soul out from underneath me, gets rid of Jack here. I believe he just passes with 2 cards in hand. And I counter out of, I believe, what did I counter out? Oh no, I trashed a card for the Kaido effect. That's right. I was wondering why I hadn't countered out. Oof, yeah. I mean, you can tell this position isn't exactly where I want to be. The Sabo, the nice thing is though, is that the Sabo is susceptible. I drew into a little bit of removal, so I have the Ice Age Rebecca Brook, or I have the Ice Age T-Bone, but I have to guarantee that I'm getting rid of probably both his Moria and his Brook. Lucky for us, he's only got 2 cards in hand. I'm just thinking about like, what's the best way to do this to bait the most out of my opponent, and you know, based off of what he's got in hand, is there a path that gets me there? So I do decide to just swing 8k into the Brook here. He is going to let that go. So now I feel definitely a lot of pressure relieved. I am just going to go for the 1 Ice Age onto Sabo. I bring out the Brook. Brook KOs the Sabo, leaving me with 3 Dawn up, so I can go 12 into his Moria. I'm thinking I'm super safe here. I'm looking good. I'm absolutely golden. And he hits me with a double 2K. My soul left my body right there. And as you can see, I pass with like a little bit of resentment in my heart. But now I gotta stare down 3 massive swings. So he hits me with a 10K first. I know that I have 3 2Ks in hand though. I am a 6K lead. I feel relatively confident, but I just have to bait my opponent into swinging every single attack. If he doesn't swing every single attack, I'm just not looking great here. And not the best. Not the best. So this 10K is really inconvenient. I don't want him to have like really gotten lucky and drawn into a Rebecca and be able to like Rebecca Sabo if I do counter this. So I think I have to block the first one. It's just to, you know, bait out a few more Dawn to make my opponent think that, you know, he can still get there. I do end up blocking with Rebecca, and, you know, with the 3, I can get up to a 12. So he's balancing out the numbers in his head. You know, like what are the best swings I can do? And I believe here the best he can do is an 11-12, if I'm not mistaken. So I think it would be like 2 onto Moria. It would be 11, and then 7 onto leader would be 12. So with the 11K from Moria, I do have to just get out of it. I have to hit him with the 3 2Ks. I'm taking a look at my trash, and I'm thinking to myself, what are the odds that I draw into a blocker the following turn? Because like that's my biggest concern. I'm like, I either have to go for game or I have to get, you know, a blocker. But I hit him with the triple 2K to go up to 12. This is definitely like my last ditch effort. And he decides to play Jack. Now, this was where my opponent made a bit of a mistake. There were 2 options that he could have done here. He could have kept the card in hand. It baits out better numbers for me to swing into him because I'm now more afraid of higher numbers. But since I know that he has no cards in hand, I can start with a 5. But he also could have swung with leader and reduced my Brook to a 3 cost and then used Jack's effect to KO the Brook. So I get the 7K swing through, I get the 9, and we take the game with the rest of the Dawn. This was an absolutely insane match. It was really down to the wire, you know, like this was just such a back and forth. I don't think that, you know, my opponent or I low rolled at all this match. We both just saw the nuts. So like this back and forth with Luffy and Lucci was such a really good game. I think that minor mistake of my opponent might have cost him at the end, but it's a tough call. You know, it's a really tough call to make. He could do the -1, KO the Brook, but then yet again, he still has no cards in hand, and I have Suru as a swing. So playing that Suru out from my Moria was like such a great way for me to potentially have lethal in the end of this match. I just knew that it was probably going to come down to me having to have 1 extra swing towards the end of this game. And yeah, I thought this was an awesome match. I'd love to hear your thoughts, guys. And I'll catch y'all in the next one, okay? Peace.